What's happening, everyone? Thanks as always for passing by the channel, much appreciated. Hit that subscribe button if you guys are new. Don't forget as well, please, to like and share the videos. Big shout out and thank you to everyone who's been doing that so far. Alright, wow, it's been a crazy weekend and a crazy few hours in the sporting world, to be honest. I don't know what to say. I'm still in shock by one thing is what happened to the UFC, the other being that I just heard the news that Frank Lampard's just been sacked by Chelsea, and I'm annoyed, to be honest. I have to say I'm annoyed because I didn't want that to happen. I'll plug in my video which I made on the Frank situation now to this video because I didn't want him sacked, not at all. I think he needed more time, he needed help, he needed support, and typical Abramovich just goes and bins him off. But yeah, I'm not happy about that. But anyway, this isn't a football video, this is an MMA UFC video. And just like the Frank Lampard sacking, there's more shockers involving the main event of this UFC 257 card. Where did that come from? But anyway, I'm going to go through that one last because I want to go through the other main event cards because we had some good fights at the weekend. So let's have a look. Marina Rodriguez defeated Amanda Ribas. I mean, I got that completely wrong, didn't I? I had Ribas winning, not what I originally thought, but I feel that Rodriguez, watching it, I did think that Rodriguez was the better striker of the two, but I thought Ribas would win through her takedowns and grappling. But Ribas looked to apply pressure in the first round, of course, and she did secure a takedown and applied pressure in the top. But Rodriguez came back well, very well, and certainly in that second round she landed a huge right hand. I mean, that fight was brutal. Really enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it. Even though I got the prediction wrong, you cannot deny when you see a good fight when you see one. Rodriguez didn't hold anything back, and really the fight should have been stopped. That referee, I don't have a clue what he was doing. That clown referee, he looked like he seemed to split them up, and then he looked at it, and then he just let them go back again. So I don't know. Yeah, he couldn't make up his mind for some reason. But good win for Rodriguez though. Credit where credit's due. The next one was Jessica Eye versus Joan Calderwood, a fight that I got right. Calderwood got the win by decision, winning all 3 rounds. Pretty much what I thought. I did score a takedown, but Calderwood's confidence and striking ability was just there from the get-go. You could see it. She just had read her opponent so well. It allowed her to just pick and choose and shots against Jessica Eye, and you could see that Jessica Eye was just struggling to deal with it completely. Good win for Joanne Calderwood, really good win. I like her, because I'm Scottish, I'm slightly biased to her, but I really hope the UFC will consider her for a title shot now because she's deserved it, and hopefully that'll be against Valentina Shevchenko. That would be a brilliant fight. I'd really love to see that. Don't know how it would go, but great fight to see. But if that doesn't happen, they'll still be able to keep Joanne Calderwood busy because they've got so many in that division. There's, she's literally a live dog as well. She literally is just saying, don't care, just bring him on. I want a title shot, I'll take it. If not, get me someone to keep me busy, then I'll take my title shot. That's what I like about her, just that kind of, just bring it on. She doesn't care, just bring it on. And the co-main event, which was a great fight, another one. I have to admit, I called this wrong because I had Dan Hooker winning by a knockout or a decision, but it was a great UFC debut for Michael Chandler, wasn't it? I mean, first round knockout of Dan Hooker. That's one. Credit where it's due. Chandler looked to really utilise his kind of striking and boxing ability, didn't he? He was landing right hooks to the body without taking any real damage himself, which you got to look at that guy and think there is a good fighter in there, a very good fighter in there. He did one of my favourite combinations in boxing, which is a right to the body and then a left hook to the head. One of my favourite combinations ever. And after that, Hooker could do nothing but cover up. From then on, it was simply Chandler's fight. Hooker did land a few good low kicks himself, which I will give him credit for because he has. I'm surprised he didn't use his hands a bit more though, because he has got power. But Chandler's got some serious power though in those punches. He'll be another one to look out for in the lightweight division. The lightweight division in the UFC is on fire now, especially if Khabib is serious about his retirement and hangs up the belt. Then there is literally like this race to who can get the title shot first, and these two were like two sort of semi-finals or quarter-finals into the next few fights that the UFC can organise for the lightweight division, which is what I want to see, which I'm going to talk about in a bit. But now, also with Chandler, right, he seemed to call out everyone at the end when he won. That's what I thought was funny. I mean, I like the confidence, but when he's calling out Khabib saying, oh, if you're brave enough to come out of retirement and face me, it's like, come on, dude, all right. Hooker's, fair enough, good. He had a great win against Hooker. Khabib, though, yeah, that's a whole different beast, a completely different beast. So, yeah, Khabib doesn't get anything come out of retirement to fight you, Michael. Okay, focus on what's in front of you first. You know, there is several other fighters in there who are kind of a big challenge for you, and Khabib is just a completely different level. But I do like Michael Chandler, and I do think he's a really good fighter. But now on to the main event, Dustin Poirier versus Conor McGregor. I mean, I was so buzzing for this fight because I thought the Mac is back. You know, he's got all this social media looking good. He's looking big. He's looking strong. You know, it was just a case of, I think this is Conor's potential second coming. He seems to have changed his attitude. He seems to be a lot more kind of, you know, he's shaking hands. He looks more kind of polite in the press conferences. He's not clowning around and showing off. You know, he seems to kind of have been a bit humbled and grounded a bit more. But just didn't look the goods in that fight though, did he? Inactivity, he even said it after the fight, inactivity cost him, and I'm totally sure of that. Great win though for Dustin Poirier. I'm not going to take anything away from him. He looked very professional in there. He's striking well. He kept his cool against a fighter who, going into it, Conor was the better striker of the two, but he came out with a very impressive knockout in the second round for sure. And that low kick, which completely, that did a number on Conor, and that dead leg after that kick landed was effectively what caused him to basically break down his entire game plan, which is completely out the window. So that just shows Dustin has actually come a heck of a long way since they last fought, you know. And it is I suppose it shows his evolution as a fighter, whereas Conor hasn't made that many adjustments and changes to his game plan. Certainly, if you look at Dustin after the Khabib loss, which shows how good Khabib is now. I mean, he's all these guys in the lightweight division who are looking really good. He's defeated them all. But yeah, Dustin has really worked on his striking. He worked on his kicks, and Conor just seemed to be kind of a bit gassed, really. And he's certainly not the same fighter he once was. And like I said, inactivity has been like the main issue here, because he's only had one fight since that Khabib mauling that he took in that was in October 2018, and yeah, that 72nd fight that he had against Cowboy just wasn't enough. You know, you need to be consistent when it comes to being in something like MMA or boxing. You need to be getting rounds in, and Conor just hasn't been doing that. He's been doing, you know, you could blame it on COVID maybe and say that like Conor needed fans, or he needed, you know, a kind of crowd to kind of, so the UFC could afford him. You know, I'm not so sure if either of them took a pay cut for this one, but you'd think so. On the scales, they both look good. Conor looked pretty big. He looked really in good shape, and my favourite going into him. But I'm not going to take anything away from Poirier, because that definitely was a big upset. And surely he surely now has to be the number one favourite to win the UFC lightweight title. I'm not sure what's happening with Khabib. There was some meeting between him and Dana White, but Poirier definitely deserves his shot now. I think now the thing to organise would be either a fight with Charles Oliveira or a rematch with maybe Justin Gaethje for the title. I'll be perfectly happy with that. Chandler should be in the conversation as well, actually, for that one, after his win over Dan Hooker. So I think my ideal situation would be to have Poirier versus Oliveira, and Gaethje versus Chandler as kind of like semi-finals, and then the winner of each of those fights then fights for the title at the end. Because I'm not too sure what's happening with Khabib. Even if Khabib comes back, I don't think they'll do a rematch between Khabib and Poirier. I think Khabib is only interested in the GSP fight, and if Khabib and Poirier fight again, I think it's the same outcome. I think Khabib's just too good, to be honest. And Tony Ferguson, he's another one who I think's done. He's had 2 losses on the spot now, and I don't think he's the same fighter he was. So I think the lightweight division is hot, it is on fire right now, which is great to see. So Dustin basically a title contender. For Conor McGregor, it's a tricky one because the Conor McGregor fan in me just wants to see him back again because he is my favourite MMA fighter of all time. And there are great fights for him in the UFC. I mean, the Diaz trilogy, I think he's kind of alluded to that in his Twitter posts. You know, a fight with Ferguson maybe would certainly be big and would sell. But the kind of more rational version of me is thinking, is there much point in him continuing it anymore? Because he's achieved so much in MMA and he has set the standard for every fighter in years to come, really. Much like Floyd's done in boxing, Conor McGregor has set the standard. You know, champ, huge pay-per-view events. He's made millions for himself. He's made millions for the UFC. He doesn't really need to prove anything else. You know, he doesn't have anything else to prove. And I don't want to hear any kind of calls for Khabib versus McGregor too, because that fight does not need to happen. If anything, you know, before was one thing. After this fight, it definitely doesn't need to happen. And I really, really, really do not want to see him going and fighting the likes of Jake Paul or YouTubers, because I just think it's not worth it. Conor, for me, the best road for him to go down is to be a UFC promoter, be a promoter for some of these other upcoming Irish fighters like Kiefer Crosby or like that. He's clearly what he's best at. Or he could be a UFC commentator like Michael Bisping, because Bisping retired, became a commentator, and he's doing really, really well. I mean, if I had to choose a fight for Conor, it would be the Diaz trilogy, because that will still do huge numbers, huge numbers. And it's Nate Diaz in Conor McGregor, you know, they've got such a great rivalry. But if he was to hang up the gloves, I wouldn't be too annoyed about it. You know, it would be the most sensible thing for him to do. He's made his money and he's set records and all that. So yeah, that's really disappointing to see Conor McGregor lose. But I really do hope he can come back from this. I really do. If he decides not to, you know, it is what it is. But really hoping he does. Can't wait to see what Dustin Poirier does, and can't wait to see what they do with McGregor next, because, like I said, the lightweight division is on fire, and good times are ahead. And credit to Dana White for keeping the UFC going through all this COVID nonsense. Like, we've seen Usman, we've seen Adesanya, we've seen Khabib fight Gaethje, we've seen Tony Ferguson fight Gaethje and fight Oliveira, Conor versus Dustin. You know, we've seen so many great fights. Despite this, he's just cracked on with it. He's had Fight Island, so credit where credit is due. But thanks for passing by the channel, and thanks for watching this video, and I will see you all soon for some more sports related news, previews and reviews, and let's hope there's some more big UFC fights in the future. Peace and love, people. Peace and love as always.